Gee.
Myself, Ozzie B, yeah? Get to know. Oi, this is Pep Talk. Oi, this is Pep Talk. Oi, this is Pep Talk. If you don't check it out, then you better walk like, this is Pep Talk. This is Pep Talk. Oi, jeez.
Crazy.
Pep Talk UK. It's time!
Everyone talk good game, but it don't really faze me. The man that ain't mad like Max, the boy that not murky like Ace B. And them guy walk the slide on the back, balling like a baby.
Oi, oi, welcome to the Pep Talk UK Sports Podcast, the podcast that talks the major boxing and football news from around the globe, real points of view from a real panel, hashtag real talk on Pep Talk. Please subscribe to Pep Talk UK on iTunes and YouTube. Don't forget to like, share and comment. Now I'm your host, Frankie B, and I'm joined by a sick panel. Firstly, I'd like to welcome back the Frenchman with more va-va-voom than Thierry Henry. It's Pascal. How you doing, bro?
Love that introduction, Frankie B. It is true. Thierry Henry, if you are listening, I've got more va-va-voom than you. But look, very pleased to be back. I've had some personal situations to deal with, but the authorities have said that I could go back to the public. So
are you returning from a broken heart?
It's a bit of a. I was involved in a Harvey Weinstein scenario, but I'm fine now. Everything is okay.
Yeah. I actually thought you was in the jungle with Amir Khan. I thought you might be out there tackling some snakes.
Amir Khan is not living up to his, to his name as the King Khan. He's quite embarrassing himself in Australia at the moment. We are a bit concerned that if boxers were supposed to take punches, behave like that, I think the world would be flat.
At the moment, it seems all about Amir Khan and Tyson Fury on social media. Both of them really trying to get the public's attention.
Well, Frankie B, I've got a bit of a theory. I believe that Amir Khan went on the show just to try and maybe reconnect with the British public, following the infamous incident on Twitter involving his wife and Anthony Joshua. But I think that it could be a precursor to the Kell Brook fight, because I thought to myself that the best way to get the public's attention, the general public, the casuals, if you like, would be to go to a show like this that is watched by many people. So I think there may be a method to the madness in Amir Khan, and I think that his advisors have told him to go on that show to perhaps, galvanize the interest of the British public. So,
build up his profile again.
Of course. And as for Tyson Fury, listen, I love the guy. There's a video every day. He wants to fight everybody. And I contacted him on Instagram. He said, why don't he fight Kim Jong-un of North Korea? He seems like everybody's out there for Tyson Fury.
Yes. Tyson Fury, aka Batman. On a positive note, last weekend, North London was red once again.
Yes,
there's no power shift.
No, there's no power shift at all, and I'm not sure if you watch Gaston Fan TV, but DT, did a bit of a big man Shaq impression, which was very funny. But look, it's important that Arsenal, remain, certainly the powerhouse in North London. Spurs, have been coming on very strong. We all said that for a very long time. But I think that Arsenal, it was an important game. They pressed on. They played very well. We were very impressed by it. But the question for every Arsenal fan, including yourself, Frankie B, is can we do it week in, week out? And that is the most important thing. I'm hearing that we can catch Manchester City. I don't believe that is the case. But I certainly would like to see us back in the Champions League next season.
Oui. Now, Pascal, we want to keep it moving. You want to shout out your social media, brother?
Yes, of course, yes. My social media on Twitter, Pascal_the Sad, and you can follow me on Instagram, or I can follow you back at the same Pascal_the Sad. Pep Talk boy.
Yeah, cracking stuff. Finally, I'd like to welcome back a man with a very insightful boxing YouTube channel. It's Benji from Benji's Boxing. How you doing, brother?
Hello all, it is an absolute pleasure to be back with Frankie V and Pascal. Honestly, it's always such an honour to be here with both of you.
Yeah, and it's even better to be speaking to my Brummy brother.
Well, I mean, we have this conversation pretty much every time that I come on. I'm a plastic brummie, really. I was actually born in Hertfordshire, Hitchin, Hertfordshire, which is obviously just north of London. So I've been around a lot of this country.
So what's been going on? Obviously, you're uploading videos on a weekly basis with some really, really good content. This year has been the year of mega fights, and I suppose the video is probably due. Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. It's quite soon.
It is. I have actually done a preview prediction video for that. It's been quite for me anyway. It's been quite one of my more popular videos. So a lot of discussion gone on there, and it seems that just split 50-50 down the middle of it. Half the people in the comment section of that think it's going to be Rigondeaux, half think Lomachenko. In that video, I'm leaning towards Lomachenko because of that age-old saying in boxing, a good big un beats a good little un, and they're both exceptional boxers, but I lean slightly towards the exceptional bigger boxer to the exceptional smaller boxer. But, you know, anything can happen, and if Rigondeaux was to win, I don't think it would be that much of a surprise because we should by now know just how good he is. But being an exceptional fighter in Lomachenko, who's the bigger guy, surely it puts Rigondeaux right up there in the pound for pound stakes.
Indeedy. Well, that's a mouth-watering fight.
I can't wait for that one. I cannot wait for that fight.
That's going to be lit. Now, Benji, we're going to keep it moving. Do you want to shout out your YouTube channel and your social media?
Yeah, on YouTube I am Benji's Boxing channel, and on Facebook I am Benji's Boxing page, and on Twitter I am at Benji Boxing.
Benji's Boxing, get to know. It's on YouTube. Great content. Right, want to keep it moving? Ladies and gents, for the fight fans locked in, for the football fans locked in, now it's time for some real talk on Pep Talk. Let's go! Yes, we ready. Let's get into it. It's real talk. It's Pep Talk. So we're going to start with the boxing, and the breaking news this week is the highly anticipated rematch between David Haye and Tony Bellew on December the 17th is off after David Haye sustained a freak bicep injury in training. Now, Pascal, my pre-Christmas appetizer has been ruined. This was meant to be part of my canopies before I tucked into my turkey.
I know, it's a bit concerning. I mean, you know, Frankie B, I'm not buying that story. You know, that, he damaged his bicep on the way down.
On a stair exercise, yeah.
I think he was probably sat down watching an episode on Pornhub, and the old arm went a bit, a bit too vigorous, because, I've never heard of this accident happen to anybody in my life. And David Haye we know he's a very interesting character. I mean, look, in no seriousness, it's a disappointing announcement because I was looking forward to go to that fight, and it looks to me that the fight again is going to be postponed. I don't believe that Tony Bellew should take the fight.
Spring. Yep.
I believe that Tony Bellew should go against Joseph Parker if I was Tony Bellew, because he has enough fan base to bring the fight to England, and also Parker also can use that fight as a stepping stone to cement himself against Anthony Joshua, which I'm sure we will discuss later on. But for David Haye, I mean, is it the case that his age is showing now and his body is riddled with injuries? I mean, come on, why is this even...
Fourth withdrawal.
It's just, and the problem with that, Frankie B, that it doesn't lend itself very well to the TV networks, to the media, to everybody that's following the fight, to Pep Talk even, There's only so much that the media can take. And when can David Haye be taken seriously if every time he trains, every time he fights, there's a problem, there's a withdrawal? So I think that the public may fall in love with the fight anyway, and it could also hurt the ticket sales, and from a business point of view, it could be quite damaging to the David Haye brand. So, I'm not sure about that. It's unfortunate. I wish David all the best, of course. Any health matter is a concerning matter for anybody, but I think for me, he needs to think long and hard as to whether or not, he should come back to boxing. That's my personal opinion on that, but I'm disappointed for Tony Bellew because, I'm sure he trained very hard and he now has to wait for another opponent. But for me, I'll just go all guns blazing and bring Joseph Parker.
And another disappointing thing is that check would have been just in time for Christmas shopping.
Of course. Those January sales are outrageous. I'm sure he had his eye on a few coats. But, it's not going to happen, and, it's, to me, it's a sign of the times, there's certain things that don't lie, it's the clock, and David Haye had his time, and also, as time goes by, Frankie B, would people remember David Haye, his last outing was a defeat, he now has to, almost win the public back, through his imagination to try and get them to support him into another fight. And I think that initially before the injury, I was looking forward to that rematch, but because of the postponement and because of the so many fights that are going to be announced in between that period, is it going to be the same type of fight that you would expect in 2018? I'm not sure.
Pascal, I think on a more positive note, he might just be giving himself a bit more time to be fully prepared for Bellew. Maybe he wants to put on a better show for the fans, and maybe he isn't quite over that injury that he sustained in March, ruptured Achilles, which does take time to heal up.
Yes, so, of course.
On a positive note, it could be, it could be for a better fight, in the future. So
it could well be, but also from Tony Bellew's perspective, if we were advising Tony Bellew, when does he go? When does he stay active? The problem with inactivity is that he can hurt the boxers. Is David Haye looking at this as a strategy, perhaps, to bamboozle Tony Bellew? But Tony Bellew is a far more active fighter out of the two, and he needs to remain active. Also, his name needs to remain amongst the lips of the commentators and the media and the people that follow boxing. So, from his point of view, does he mean that he has to wait around and wait till March next year, or does he take? I understand that Dylan White and Tyson Fury have proposed to be fighting during that period, but for Tony Bellew, it must be devastating for him. The preparation, the anticipation, the anxiety, falling away, spending time away from camp away from the family and friends and everything else, and to know that this fight is not going to be happening now, and also to motivate yourself mentally for March next year. March next year, it's difficult. Tony Bellew's probably thinking about Easter eggs and chocolate, It's
but on a more serious note, Benji, is this a case of David Haye's body not being able to withstand a hard, rigorous camp, or is it something a little bit more tactical?
Well, there's so much to unpack with this, and the more I think of this, the more I think that David Haye is like the Tooth Fairy. We want to believe that David Haye is coming back and he's going to be the same David Haye that he was, when he was tearing up the cruiserweights and when he first went up to heavyweight. We all want to see that David Haye. We all want to believe that David Haye is going to be in the ring again. But in the reality, in the back of our minds, we know it ain't real. We know and like you said, there's been 4 fights now. He's had a back injury, there's the shoulder injury, obviously, the torn Achilles now, a bicep. I have to say that I'm a little bit more maybe forgiving than Pascal in that I give boxers the benefit of the doubt because this is it's a phenomenally hard sport, and just the training camps is a hell of a rigor on the body, and that is why even if David Haye gets through this one and we do actually get this fight next year, his path. He keeps telling us that after he gets rid of Tony Bellew, he's going to carry on and then fight Anthony Joshua or become a heavyweight champion. I have serious doubts that he can even get through a training camp now. I really do. So I believe this is a legitimate injury. And of course, David Haye isn't going to want to get in the ring with Tony Bellew again when he's not 100% fit, risk it. Because another loss to Bellew will not only
more or less,
be the end of his career, I mean, it would tarnish his legacy as well. So he's going to want to get in the ring 100% fit. But, you know, it's as I say, can he be in the ring 100% fit again? Well, I'm not too sure. And as for Tony Bellew fighting Joseph Parker, well, the first obstacle there is Tony Bellew's not in the rankings for the WBO in heavyweight or cruiserweight. Obviously, you can get around these things because money talks. So, but saying that, you know, when Joseph Parker came over here and boxed Hughie Fury, he wasn't a massive draw then, and I appreciate
YouTube fight.
Well, exactly. You know, I appreciate that Tony Bellew does bring more in pulling power than Hughie Fury did, but it's still not that mouth-watering clash. It would be a big fight, but it's not going to be the retirement money that Tony Bellew's afterwards. He's after another massive multi-million-pound payday to call it a day, and I think he's only going to get that from David Haye, and therein lies the problem. The other thing is with Tony Bellew as well, is he has blown up in weight over the course of this year, and he went into training camp for this fight looking, I thought, sort of quite plump. Yeah, a bit porky for want of a better word. And I just wonder if Tony Bellew tucks in during the Christmas period, that could, and this rematch does happen, that could actually be to David Haye's advantage. So, well, you know, as I said, there's a hell of a lot to unpack with this whole fight, this whole saga.
For me, I'm looking at this fight next year potentially. I think David Haye's going to be even more sharper. Potentially another 3 more months of preparation. I think he's going to come in a lot lighter. He's going to come in sharp, and I feel it does spell a bit of trouble for Bellew. You know, if it actually goes ahead, that is.
Well, Adam Smith from Sky Sports went over to the Haye camp. This is in his words anyway. He went over to the Haye camp after the rumour of an injury that came onto Twitter about a week or so ago. Yeah. He went over there to see if there was anything in that, and he said that Haye looked very sharp. There's no sign of injury, and he looked smaller. He'd lost a lot. He looked a lot smaller. So I kind of trust Adam Smith. I don't think he's got anything to necessarily gain. He's got more to gain by actually going on TV now, or you know, going online and saying, well, actually, when I visited Haye a week ago, he was injured. You know, that would be more of a story than actually saying, no, there was no injury a few weeks back. This is completely new and legit. So I trust Adam Smith on that. And
also as well, we might add there's more time for him to develop a bit more of Ismail Salas.
Well, Ismail Salas is the sort of trainer at the moment. And he, you know, I know we're going to talk about Carl Frampton in a bit, but someone came onto my Twitter and said, "Oh, Carl Frampton should have gone with Salas because you look at what he's done." Yep. Linares, name just escaped me from it there. Linares looks better and better every time we see him under Salas. So I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it? I'm very eager to see what David Haye is going to look like.
You can potentially see that he's going to come out quick and faster than ever, mate. Those haymakers could be flying from different angles.
But are we just hoping for the Tooth Fairy? Are we going to see? You know, this is what I'm with you, Frankie. I want to see these things. Absolutely, this is what we sort of. But is this just a Pornhub fantasy? If Pascal's dropping Pornhub in there, I'll get it.
But you know, good thing is, Benji, even if it is towards the end of the road for David Haye, he's got one foot in the promoter's suit. You know, he's got some exciting talents. He's got Joe Joyce, MVP, you know, Willie Hutchinson. So he has kind of built that platform for his second part of his career, his second career, shall I say.
He's not going to be short of a bob or two anytime soon.
Right, guys, let's talk about a man that was being billed as reborn, which was Carl Frampton, who fought a Mexican, Horatio Garcia, in his native Belfast and picked up victory by unanimous decision from the judges. Now, Pascal, it wasn't an easy return to the ring for Frampton, who struggled with the pace from literally the 5th round onwards.
Yes, it certainly was a very difficult one. You know, Frankie B, sometimes it's like impressing a young woman, you know, and you take her to Nobu and you realize that the meal is going to be more expensive than what you saved, you know, and you know, you wonder that you just hope that she doesn't pick the most expensive dish on the menu. And I think that for that particular fight, you know, Frampton was very pumped, you know, he got to fight in front of a home crowd, you know, we also got to see him, you know, with Jamie Moore, his new trainer, and of course, shout out to Frank Warren Promotions for promoting the fight. So there was a lot, you know, riding on this fight for many reasons. But I felt that, you know, Horatio came in with very determined, very much,
like a true Mexican.
He certainly came to win the fight, you know, and as you said, you know, after the 5th round, you know, the pace began to pick up quite highly, and I think that Frampton didn't expect that Horatio would be coming in to, you know, to fight the Mexican way, to give him a very difficult fight. Also, perhaps having Canelo in the corner also, you know, I mean, look, it's like having, you know, Superman behind you. You think that you can do anything you want. So, and I think that inspired Horatio to go there and to give him the very difficult fight, you know, and you know, credit to Horatio. 7th round, he managed to put him on the floor, though, you know, some argue that he was asleep. You know, in my mind, I felt that Horatio had done enough in the early rounds to warrant that knockout, you know, knockdown. And you know, all I'm saying to you, Frankie B, is that if the fight was in Mexico, you know, could he have gone a different way? Would it have been a unanimous decision? We don't know. You know, these things, sometimes, you know, the venue plays a big part in the decisions of the judges and how the fight is seen. But certainly, you know, to me, Carl Frampton still looked a bit...
well, you know what, Pascal? Joseph Parker might argue that.
I guess so. You know, I mean, I guess so, certainly. But, you know, I felt that I expected more. To be brutally honest, I expected Frampton to stop him, and the fact that he went the full 12 rounds and it was a unanimous decision, and there was a knockdown, you know, to give in to the visiting fighter, tells me that Frampton is still a bit of a way away from coming back to his full form since his defeat to Santa Cruz. And you know, sometimes, Frankie B, when you have that defeat, you know, it plays in the back of your mind, because a lot, you know, it becomes a mental game where you have to beat your mind and tell your mind that beat the opponent in front of you. So, you know, it could be that, you know, Carl Frampton is still maybe suffering of some post-trauma from that defeat. But, you know, in saying that, there's an opportunity for a lot of good fights to be coming through, you know, particularly on the Frank Warren, who, you know, they tip in fights like Selby, for instance. Lee Selby would be a very good fight. Yep. You know, a very good British all-out fight that will be very well attended.
Takes care of Josh Warrington, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I look forward to it. I quite like the style of Carl Frampton. You know, he's a very, very good boxer. You know, very good movements, good jab. And certainly, you know, his new trainer, you know, doesn't seem to have changed him too much from what we know. But it's about to find out whether Carl Frampton can take it to another level. You know, is he the elite fighter that we expect him to be? I think he needs a couple more fights to prove us that. But he certainly is a world-class fighter. But, you know, there's a difference between world-class and elite. And we have yet to see that. I'm yet to be convinced by that.
Indeed. Benji, can you assess Carl Frampton's performance? I thought he looked a little bit rusty on the night. He struggled a bit with the latter rounds, and Horatio Garcia was really coming on strong towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, it was a tough one really, because those first few rounds, I thought Frampton looked class. I thought he looked absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and just how calm he looked, the footwork, he just held the ring, he took that little step back when he needed to, create the angle, hit with beautiful counters. And I was joining in on Twitter, you know, during that fight, because people were going, there's no ring rust, what ring rust, old Carl Frampton's back. And I you know, round 3, I was saying, I was joining in on it, but, you know, the ring rust doesn't really show up until you get into those mid to later rounds when it's really going to test that cardio. And these Mexican fighters, they've got that tough reputation for a reason. They will keep if you've got cardio issues, if your movement's not good, if your defense is not tight, they'll grind you down. You know, it's a crude way of boxing. Garcia didn't have a particularly great jab, he didn't have great movement, but he just kept coming forward. He had a good chin, and he started to grind Frampton down. And if it had been a 12th fight, I just wonder how much would Carl Frampton have been clinging on in an 11th or 12th round.
He was clinging on. There was one instant in one of the rounds where he actually turned his back. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I watched it back this morning, and I feel that it wasn't a turning of his back because he was taking shots. I think it was more a case of he got disorganised, his footwork got disorganised to the point where he was off balance a bit, and he had to sort of... and this is it. At this level, how good Carl Frampton is, these guys don't get disorganised like that. You know, if you go down to your local boxing gym, if you're an amateur, you know, if you're just getting started, you'll have all sorts of problems with your footwork, because I mean, the guys on TV, they do make it look very, very easy. It's not at all the coordination needed. So to see Frampton get disorganised like that was a surprise. And again, that disorganisation then leads into taking shots you wouldn't normally take, becoming flat-footed, winging shots in that it's a little bit sort of, you throw it hoping that it'll hit the target rather than being the precise puncher that he was in the first few rounds. So there's still question marks about Carl Frampton, I think, and I do wonder about the weight. Obviously this one was came at 9 stone 1. He failed to make 9 stone in the fight that never happened, which was his previous one. And at the age of 30 now, at this weight class, because it is one of the smaller weight classes, you do think maybe he might need to move up in weight to actually get the best performance out of him. He is boiling himself down to this weight, taking something away from his performance and his cardio.
But has he got the power? Has he got the punching power to move up in weight?
Well, that's the dilemma, isn't it?
Because he was hitting Garcia, and Garcia was absorbing the shots, no problem.
Yeah, well, this is the dilemma. He may feel stronger and better up at the higher weight. I mean, when Ricky Hatton moved up to welterweight, he said, in the gym I'm much stronger and I'm much this and I feel better, and but once he got in the ring with Louis Collazo, who wasn't a massive puncher at that weight, he was hanging on for dear life in that 11th and 12th round. And I felt that there were some similarities between that Carl Frampton fight at the weekend and that Ricky Hatton fight all those years ago against Collazo.
I suppose a lot of critics are being a little bit harsh on Carl Frampton. I mean, he's literally been out almost a year. It will take him time to get back, you know, his ring smarts and his ring fitness again, with a new trainer and a new promoter. Well,
this is it, and I said this in my preview video for this fight. It's all changed for Carl Frampton. New trainer, new promoter, it's new everything, and these things do take a little bit of time to bed in. I also think that Horatio Garcia probably wasn't given as much credit as he should have been given before the fight. He turned out
SOB.
And it's worth noting as well that he has boxed at the higher weight class. So this was meant to be at 9 stone 1, the featherweight, I believe that is. Garcia has mixed at the higher weight class with bigger people, so Frampton was in with a bigger guy there, and highlights your point you made about the power up at the higher weight. It's probably not there.
And if you ain't got the power, your footwork has got to be on point.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
And I believe that Frampton has got very good footwork, but it died off, like you say, probably from round 6 onwards. You need to be more, obviously Floyd Mayweather, he had the footwork for the whole duration of a 12-round fight. Same with Manny Pacquiao, had great footwork, and that's what you need. And that's what separates the great fighters from the elite fighters. And there is a big difference, like Pascal was saying.
Indeed, and obviously the last point is that the scoring. Some people thought, a couple of people thought Garcia nicked it, which I found strange. But some people question. Some of the scoring by some of the judges. I mean, how did you find it, Benji? I know you still scored it to Carl Frampton.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. I've watched it twice now. I watched it at the time it went out live, and I didn't score it because I didn't think it would be that close a fight. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that Carl Frampton would win. So this morning I went back and scored it again, and I scored it 97 Frampton to 93 Garcia. And the official scorecards all had 93 to Garcia, and then one had 98 to Frampton, 97 to Frampton, 96 to Frampton. So it was one of those ones. A lot of people on Twitter and on my YouTube and that were saying, no, I had a draw, I had Garcia winning. But for me personally, and I'm open to take the hate for this, but I've got it at 93 for Garcia. I don't see where I can give him another point, because I felt the rounds that Frampton won, I thought he won them quite clearly. The rounds that Garcia won were a lot closer. Yeah, that's, and this is the thing about boxing, the scoring of it is so subjective.
Yeah, it is.
And in close fights, more so in close fights, you're going to get bizarre scorecards than you are in lopsided fights. And I mean, I think last time I was on, I mentioned this because if you've got 12 rounds that are toughly contested, very close rounds, one judge can have 6 rounds to boxer A, the other one can have it 6 rounds or whatever the other way, and then the guy in the middle can have it 12 rounds to one boxer and no rounds to the other one. So when you get these close rounds that can go either way, it's going to produce bizarre scorecards.
Indeed. Pascal, how did you see it scoring wise? Obviously there's no Adelaide Bird this time.
No, there certainly wasn't. But look, up until the 5th round, Carl Frampton was controlling the fight. So, to some extent, the best part of the fight was under Carl Frampton's control.
Yep.
As I said before, Horatio Garcia showed some determination, and he certainly came in to make an impression.
And for to impress Canelo.
Yeah, he certainly did, look, the pep talk at, during the dressing room could have been probably exceptional, in those circumstances, having somebody like Canelo telling you that you can win, that you can do it, can ignite anybody's fire, and I think that Horatio believed that he could win, and it's a credit to him because he didn't come to take the money. He certainly came and fighting people like Carl Frampton. For anybody, that's coming from Mexico into Ireland, in sort of big crowd, for them it's just as good as a world title fight anyway. So, I can see why, the Horatio was motivated to win the fight. I mean, in terms of the decision, I said earlier, whether it was a unanimous decision, I'm not sure, because there's been instances where we've actually a split decision or majority decision. Some could have. The judges, if a judge's scored it a draw, I would not have been too disappointed by that. Taking the knockdown into consideration. But I felt that the UD was a bit generous. In my opinion, I believe that Carl Frampton won by majority decision, not by unanimous decision.
Did you see how Frank Warren's face looked just before the announcement?
Well, it's very difficult to tell, he's got an interesting face, but
sighs of relief afterwards, I tell you.
He certainly was nervous, of course. I mean, look, for Frank Warren, he's taken a lot of collateral, over the last few weeks. We've had the announcement of James DeGale. You know, he's now taking on, Carl Frampton, and who knows, there may well be more fighters going there. You know, and each fighter that is promoted, Frank Warren has to, get the money behind them, get the promotion. There's a lot of investment, and as far as Frank Warren is concerned, he just wants to make sure that his investment pays off straight away. So, he certainly was concerned right there, that could be a boat right there, or Rolls Royce or Ferrari, if the result didn't go his way. But look, thankfully for him, he went his way, and I'm sure that Frank will make sure that the next fight, will become a bit more, I guess, less dangerous.
Stressful, yeah. They'll do their Googles next time. Watch a lot more fights. I don't think he'll be rushed into a world title fight straight away.
I don't believe so, but I mean, look, Carl Frampton said himself that he chose the opponent, that he wanted to fight him, so he wasn't a mismatch in any way, and I think it's good for Carl to have taken that fight, and perhaps there's a lot more to be done in the gym with Jamie Moore, and as Benji said earlier, is the weight going to be a factor, and if that's the case, his management and his new promoter will have to look into that. The important thing is, against better opposition, dare I say, Carl Frampton managed to keep that level of intensity, and can he step it up another level? In 10 rounds, he was quite fortunate, but as Benji said earlier, what happens if he goes to the 11th and 12 rounds when the sport of boxing is so unpredictable? We could do very well for the 5-6 rounds, but in the very end, one punch can change the outcome of the fight and of the destiny of the fight itself. So, I believe that there's a lot of work to be done there, and Jamie Moore's going to have to go back to the boxing gym and address those issues very quickly.
Indeed. Well, we'll wait and see what happens with Carl Frampton moving forward in 2018. We'll just touch on the Joseph Parker and AJ situation. Now, Benji, Joseph Parker, he believes he's worth 40%. That figure's now gone down to 35%. In your humble opinion, what do you believe he warrants?
Well, I mean, there's two ways of looking at this. There's the looking at it as a percentage, and there's looking at it as an actual monetary figure. Now, that 35%, that's going to be a good few million when you consider how much Anthony Joshua's going to be getting. So, I mean, Anthony Joshua could sell out a whole he could sell out Wembley Stadium fighting anyone. It doesn't really matter. So
doesn't need
Parker's not really bringing a hell of a lot to the party to say, well, I think he deserves this much money. His only bargaining tool really is that WBO belt. But Eddie Hearn's painted himself into a corner a little bit because he spent the last 18 months, maybe 2 years, saying British boxing, this is where it's at. Look at all the revenue we're making when Anthony Joshua boxes. We've sold out Wembley Stadium. We've got all this money to play with. So now, people like Joseph Parker and Deontay Wilder are going to say, well, hold on there, Hearn. You've been telling us there's loads of money in that pot, so let's squeeze that lemon. Let's see what we can get out of you. And that's sensible negotiation, really, isn't it? I mean, if Eddie Hearn's been spouting up how much money there is in that pot, you'd be a bit daft just to take his first offer of, $1 million or $2 million. You're going to say, well, no, what about 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever 35% is, whatever 40% is. You're going to try and squeeze that lemon. So I've kind of made a hash of answering this question, but I hope it makes kind of sense.
I would actually, I can see a plan behind possibly if Dillian Whyte ever came into the picture to fight Joseph Parker, if he beat Parker and had the rematch with AJ, for me that is a lot more eye-catching. That rematch.
Absolutely. For the AJ White rematch to happen, White needs to have a belt. For me personally, I I really don't care about belts. They don't define fighters, in my opinion. But for the general public, that's how you sell them a fight. You say it's a unification thing, it's 2 champions. That's really, how you sell it to. I don't like using the word casuals, but that's how you sell it to them. So I think that Eddie Hearn is looking at ways of actually getting Dillian Whyte a title, and that's why he's sort of so keen to get a stable fight. Yeah.
That's right, and he can maximise his income if they're all his fighters as well.
And that's the name of the game, and it's called the boxing business for a reason,
Now, Pascal, there's arguments that Joseph Parker's more deserving than Deontay Wilder for a big payday, based on who's actually fought Takam Fury and Ruiz. Do you comply with that?
Well, look, you can only beat who is in front of you. Of course, some names carry more weight than others, they carry some weight in gold. But, at the end of the day, it's not as clear cut as that, boxing is a business, it's prize fighting, so therefore there is a prize at the end of it, and everybody involved wants to maximize on that as much as possible. Now, in terms of what is the big money fight for Anthony Joshua, if we were to compare the opportunity to fight Wilder or to fight Parker, Wilder is going to make more money because more risk equals more money to both fighters. On the other hand, if AJ wishes to become a unified world fighter, he can say to Eddie Hearn, look Eddie, I don't care what you pay this guy, I just want to become a unified world champion, and that could be a personal dream, personal achievement that as a fighter AJ is seeking for, and he can sit down with his promotional team and discuss ways in which this fight can happen. Now in terms of Parker, I think Parker does deserve, at least 30 to 35% because he's an unbeaten fifth fighter, so he does come, with an element of somebody's always got to go, which is quite, which has been a very good marketing tool in boxing for such a long time. So, there is nothing wrong in using the 2 fighters on beating on blemished record to sell the fight, But unfortunately for Parker, judging the fight that he had against Tyson Fury, which wasn't the most electrifying performance. With Huey Fury, which wasn't the most electrifying performance. It is difficult for Parker to try and sell anything, let alone, cupcakes at King's Cross train station. So I feel I feel sorry for him because it's almost, it's I'm not sure, if it's the right thing to say, but he's almost the wrong nationality in this sport, because if you were another English fighter or another fighter from a country that is renowned for boxing, that fight would have been made a long time ago, or certainly that fight would have been discussed a long time ago. But for many people, a New Zealand, a Kiwi heavyweight fighter fighting the best of British boxing, it's certainly an international figure, where is the money in that? It just becomes a very difficult fight to make, and I think that your point earlier, if Dillian Whyte goes for that belt and he wins that belt, then that makes the fight with Dillian Whyte and AJ makes it a far more entertaining proposition than the Parker AJ fight. But
Parker will think he won't get paid for that. He won't get the money for that.
Yes, of course.
Which is the problem.
Everybody is aware that what the numbers are being made. Everybody knows that, AJ is the cash cow in the heavyweight sport of boxing. He has the potential, to earn, some of the money that we've seen his American counterparts earn in the United States. He's got every attribute to appeal to both, hardcore boxing fans and the casual fans. He's also, he features in various programs, various TV shows. AJ is definitely the cash cow, and as far as his promotion team are concerned, they want to make sure that they're making the best decision and minimizing the risk.
and you know, I can completely understand why Eddie Hearn is saying, look, Parker, you know, you must be a nice guy. We know that, but that money that you're asking is not warranted. You know, we cannot give you that money unless Parker suddenly decides to unify against Deontay Wilder and beat Deontay Wilder. Then it becomes a different proposition.
And it goes up by 5 or 10%.
It certainly would.
Both the fighters have still got to try and increase their brand name. They've got to get out there, increase awareness of what they actually, who they actually are. Because what was really funny was when Eddie Hearn did that little mini survey in the street of New York when he asked just casual people in the public, do you know who Deontay Wilder is? It's just really funny. And actually said no, they don't know who he is.
Yes,
funny.
Unfortunately, he's not very well known. I had somebody asking me whether Deontay Wilder is going out with Kim Kardashian or one of the Kardashians, and I said no. I think that you are mistaking him for the rapper. You know, there is a rapper. I forgot his name, who looks a bit like Deontay Wilder, who's quite skinny, and that's not the one, you know. So a lot of people don't know who Deontay Wilder is.
Someone actually said to me, "It's Deontay Wilder and Amigos."
Yes, I mean, look, it's. I feel sorry for Deontay Wilder because he's a good prospect. You know, he's not too bad as a boxer. You know, he tries to be quite charismatic, but unfortunately, you know, he's not been embraced by the American public. You know, he's just not been embraced in the same way that the other heavyweight fighters have been embraced.
Just quickly before we close, Benji. Obviously, Kovalev makes his return, but I just want to touch on the comment made by John Davis Jackson that Kovalev can't take punishment to the body. A bitterness there between ex-trainer and fighter.
Well, I mean, you can say it was the body shots that did him against Andre Ward in the second fight. One or two of them may have strayed a little bit low. I'm sure we've talked about that in the past. But, you know, getting hit in the body by basically the pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet. Not many people are going to take body shots off the pound-for-pound best fighter in the planet. So, well, let's see what happens with this fella who I can't even pronounce his name.
Shabransky.
Yeah, Shabransky. That's it. Let's see how he gets on there. But I mean, pretty much every fighter has got a weak spot somewhere, and so for Kovalev it could be the body shots. But again, time will tell. We'll have to see. But you know, I challenge anyone get hit in the body by a boxer and try and stand up straight.
To be fair, everyone's vulnerable to the body. Let's be honest.
It's horrible. If anyone listening to this has never, you know, who hasn't boxed or anything like that, you just go down to your local club, have a little, you know, put the gloves on, have a little move around. Guaranteed, the body shot is the one that will hurt you more than any other.
I guess Kovalev won't be buying John Davis Jackson a Christmas drink, that's for sure.
Nah, probably not.
Alright guys, that wraps us up for the boxing. Cracking stuff. Now it's interview time. This week our boxing correspondent Shaz, the boxing nut, caught up with Hamzah Sheeraz, who makes a return to the ring December the 9th on the Frank Warren card at the Copper Box Arena.
Pep Talk UK are joined once again by a young lad making his mark in the profession.
Yep.
It's Mr. Hamzah Sheeraz.
Right, Shaz.
I'm well, how are you doing?
I'm all good, my brother, all good.
First question straight off the bat.
Yep.
Have you grown since I last met you?
Yeah, I have a little bit actually. Because what it is at the gym, Lenny actually has a measuring tape, believe it or not. Because he sees me every day, like, you're growing this, that, the other. But he's actually measured me this time. Yeah, I was 6'2", I think. A couple of weeks before my fight, I'm 6'3" now.
I can't believe it. It's not growing.
Yeah,
you don't think you're tall enough?
Who? No, I don't know.
What are they feeding you home?
I'm just eating my veg. That's what it is.
Eating your veg? What is it? You think you're Popeye with your spinach?
That's it, you know.
Or is Popeye before your time?
That's it, all of that.
You know Popeye is?
Yeah.
Cool, Popeye. So yeah, I'm just a couple of years older than you. I'm not that old. Nickname. Have we found one?
No, I'd rather wait till I'm given one, to be honest with you. I ain't thought of one or nothing. I don't know, what do you think?
I think Hamzah the Lion.
Hamzah the Lion, yeah?
Yeah, I think the Lion.
I mean, that's quite got a ring to it as much, but you know,
I don't know.
I'll give you that.
Now, you last fought on a Warren show, made your debut, had an army of supporters, and you put on a bit of a show, didn't you?
Yeah, it was good. It was good to get at. For like, I didn't box, I think, for like nearly a year before that. So going in there with that many people, I didn't even realise that there would be that many people there. I sold a lot of tickets, but I wasn't expecting the noise and whatnot. But you know, when you're coming out and they announce your name and you hear the crowd go mad, it just gives you a massive drive. And yeah, that's what led. I think that's what led me to eventually stopping the opponent I had in front of me.
When you did stop him, you turned around, you saluted the crowd. Yeah. How was that feeling?
That was amazing. I've never had that feeling before, to be honest with you. And the guy who I thought, I was prepared to go 4 rounds with him because he's like never been stopped before that in, I think, 30 something contests. So in my mind, I was going out there getting 4 rounds under my bank, get the experience under, and just enjoy the whole night. And then the knockout came and it was even better. Made the whole night like 10 times better than it could have been. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't go wrong, and it was. Like I said, the support was unreal, as you see for yourself. Everyone in the team, Sheeraz, tops and whatnot. But yeah, it was amazing. It was a good experience. Can't wait for the next one now. I
also watched you around the presser. You were having private little chats with the likes of Dominic Ingle, Mr. Williams himself, a few good trainers. Did they have any words of advice for you?
Yeah, they did. They just, obviously, first thing that comes to mind is how tall I am for the weight. So it's just simple boxing basics, like keep them at the end of your jab, whatnot, the other, and that's it. So I did exactly what they said, exactly what my coach Lenny said. Just box, just enjoy it. He goes, one thing you got to make sure you do. He goes, you have your professional debut only once. He goes, enjoy it, and that's exactly what I did.
You're back out December.
December.
Copper Box.
Yeah, same place, same venue.
Making it home, isn't you?
Yeah, that's it. Can't wait, because you got the likes of Anthony Yard, Daniel Dubois, all of them who box there Anthony Yard's boxed there quite a few times now. So yeah, it's local. All the support. It'll be hopefully even bigger than last time. I think I've done more tickets than last time as well. So yeah, support will be crazy.
And on top of that, you got Selby on the card.
Yeah.
You got Mr. James Diggle on the card.
Yeah, massive.
And
it's a
world
two
champions galore around you.
Two world championship fights. It's crazy, isn't it? The first one was 1, but now it's 2, and you got European title fights. I think you got Southern Area title fight. Daniel Dubois fighting for. So it's a wicked undercard to be on.
Now, for our listeners, want to give you a follow. Shout out your handles.
Instagram H_Sheeraz99. Twitter is Hamzah Sheeraz, and my Snapchat is Sheeraz Boxing.
Lovely. Make sure you tell your uncle I interviewed you.
Yeah, I will. He's been on my case.
He's on my case as well. We know the uncle you're talking about. His name is Armour. He's on my case all the time. You know Hamzah's fighting. Yeah, I know he's fighting. I'm in the loop. Thanks, bub. But cheers, Hamzah, you take care. I'll see you fight night.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Finally, a bit of a music special for all those that were into garage and grime in the early 2000s. You'll all remember the Morfire crew. Let's hear from a man that was part of that collective. It's Mr. O to the Z, Ozzie B.
Oi, oi. It's Frankie B, reporting for Pep Talk UK. I'm joined by a garage stroke grime legend, a man that's done quite a few bits in the scene, a man that used to produce them tracks that I used to rave to. Yeah, but, oi.
Oi. You get me, myself, Ozzie B here, representing Morfire, formerly, and Straight GM, yeah? Get to know what's going on.
My G. So, Ozzie, like I said, I used to rave to your material. You're spending more than a minute in the game. Yeah. I know you're still shooting out them tracks. I know you still got some projects out there. What's about to drop?
Well, at the moment, I'll be working on a project called Since Averex and Face Offs, where I'm taking them back to like the early 2000s, like early 2001 to 2002, when we was rocking Averexes and we had face off phones where we could change the face off and change the colour, like that era. Yeah, so I'm kind of schooling them on where this grime thing stemmed from, garage grime thing stemmed from, you know what I mean? Because obviously there's a new fan now, there's a new fan base out there, and obviously they want to know where this thing stems from, you know what I mean, as it's getting bigger and it's getting worldwide and global. So definitely, so I'm bringing them basically on a journey back to the early 2000s.
Because it's funny, because when the video dropped for Oi back in the day, you guys are rocking the AVs. I remember I got myself an AV, yeah, yeah, and it's funny because, you know, like Michael Dapier says, man's not hot. Yeah. But I used to go into the rave with the big leather AV.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And I was saying, man's not hot.
That's what I'm saying. We've been doing that for a long time. When man used to go into raves back in the day, the La Cosa Nostras, the whatever you want to call it, but man was going in there in the big AVs, and man weren't taking that off. You get me? Because if you took that off, something weren't right. You had to have your AV on. You know what I'm saying? If you wanted the girl them to look, you had to have your AV on. You know what I'm saying? So man wasn't hot from back then still. But big up, Big Shaq, man. Doing massive things out there. Massive things.
Tell me a bit about, you know, how you got into music, first and foremost. A bit of a background on how you got into music and your journey from back then to right now.
Yeah, no, basically it stemmed from like me starting in basically a RE class that never happened basically in school, because like I was probably about like 14, 15 at the time, and obviously me and Lethal, obviously I know him as Maxwell because we went to school together, but me and Lethal Bizzle, was like near enough in the same class. We was like close, so we was both in the RE lesson together. The teacher didn't turn up, so we said, right, let's utilise the time, innit? Obviously a couple of people in the class must have said like, oh, like he's not, like someone needs to start off a little talent contest or something. So he said, all right, let's do that. You get me? So obviously me being me, I just quickly said like, yeah man, I can spit, like man, go and do tapes at my boy's house. So let me show the class what I can do. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously Lethal at the time, he was kind of just getting in on it, like, so he wasn't really, you know what I'm saying? So I had to give him the determination to want to come up to the front of the class with me, and the belief to want to show them what was happening. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so basically that is where it all started from. That's where my musical journey started from, because from there, that's when I said to myself, yeah, I need to take this stuff serious, because once we did perform in front of the crowd, in front of the class, should I say, it was like there was an energy there. So from there, we knew it was the right thing for us to do, like pursue this. That's what was on my mind from there. You know what I'm saying?
How has the game changed these days now? Because you got a lot of new artists out there. They're basically mixing the sounds now. You know, everything's kind of like a joint genre.
Yeah, like, you know what it is, yeah, the scene is like evolved crazy, innit? Because like back in the day, when we came out and we was releasing singles and albums, like the Soul Solid era, Heartless Crew, Pay As You Go era, like when we come out, like obviously Soul Solid, they had the music at the time, so their stuff was going number one, and respect to them, because they're like forefathers of this thing as well. So exactly. So therefore, like from there, you just like it's kind of evolved to a point where you got everyone in the charts now. You know what I'm saying? You got man that you would have listened to 7 years ago. I think this guy ain't gonna make the charts. Man's in the charts now, like Gigs, for example. You know what I'm saying? So it just goes to show you how the game has evolved from back then. Because when we was trying to put out music, labels were kind of signing us or turning their face to us. You know what I'm saying? Because it was too raw for them. They didn't know how to deal with it. Whereas now, whereas now, people are getting their own information and their own insight on the music, and then they're just doing their own independent thing, and people don't even want to sign to labels no more. That's how much the game has evolved right now. Like,
you can do that independent thing.
Exactly, you can do your independent thing as long as you got the right links and the right buzz around you, and you can do that via internet or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can put your stuff out like by yourself. You don't need no label. So I would say from then to now, the game has evolved massively. Like, you know what I'm saying, to a point where your stuff is selling in Canada, America, Europe. It's a global thing now. Like, everyone's looking at the UK like basically how they used to look at America. You understand?
Because to be honest, like from a personal point of view, I was always a big urban music and hip hop fan.
Yeah.
But I used to follow a lot of the American artists, Dipset, Wu-Tang, them mans.
Same thing. Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
And what I can see now, no disrespect to the US artists right now, but the UK artists, like the talent is ridiculous. That's why I can see why it's crossed over.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, most of these kids from like the age of like say 8 to even like 15 or 16, 17, yeah, they're not even listening to US no more. If you ask them about certain US artists, they're like, who's that? Who's that? What's that? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, no, I don't really listen to that. Like, no offense, but I don't even listen to US music. I listen to the UK, like straight UK, run. You know what I'm saying? You mention any UK artist, and they'll know that. You know what I'm saying? But any US artists, they don't really know because they're kind of proud of what we've got now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we was watching the hip hop scene thinking, wow, like, look what these guys are doing. But now people in America are watching us now thinking, wow, look what these guys are doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Ozzie, before we go, like I said, I used to rave to your music. I need them bars, man, from Oye, and I'm happy to do the ad libs. You know what I mean? Bring them back, man. A special, man, for Pep Talk.
All right, yo. Oye, who's that Pep Talk? Oye, who's that Pep Talk? Oye, who's that Pep Talk? Yeah. Special thing. Hold the mic and I'll flex. I'm a lyrical architect. Old to disease on the set. Step on the mic and I'll fast get vexed. When I bang girls, I used to do Rex. What next? I rock the club Rex. Like Aztec, what venues next? But straight through with my A-Rex. Girls with the bread and go relax. Get some more for your crew. Funkers and frets. Run them with a lighter when they chat wet. They bitch them crunch like a cornet. Watch us rip up the set. I bet I'm O to the Z to the Z. I'm I to the E. Ozzie B. Step on the mic to get them lively. With the mic, the MC. Oi, who's that O to the Z? Oi, who's that O to the Z? Oi, who's that O to the Z? And I'm my man inside the party like, so you get me? There you go.
Well, Ozzie, we wish you all the best of your future projects out there, and we'll be supporting. I'm out. We out.
We out, man. Remember, yeah? Since AVEX and Face Off soon, yeah? If you want to hit me up on the gram, official Ozzie B, Twitter, official Ozzie B, yeah? Done now.
Thank you, Ozzie B. Look out for AVEX's and Face-Offs. Now it's football time, and as usual, we do a few predictions about some of the big games. The biggest game of the weekend is Liverpool versus Chelsea. Now, Pascal, Liverpool seem to have tightened up their defence, and Chelsea seem to be an informed team. This should be a corker.
It should be a cracker of a game, 5:30 kickoff, and look, I'm looking forward to that match. It's going to be an exceptional match. Also, it's at Anfield, and which is a very, very interesting home of football, and I predict a very intense football. Liverpool's high pressing game against the defensive yet clinical and creative Chelsea, should make a very interesting bout, most definitely. In terms of the results, look, I'm tipping towards Chelsea. I do not believe it would be a high scoring game, but I think that it could be a game of chess, a very fast paced game of chess between two, teams who are certainly, some of the best teams in the UK, and but I fancy Chelsea to nick it.
And it'll be about the team that can defend better. Because Chelsea have got Morata, Eden Hazard has found his form again after injury. And Liverpool, even though they haven't conceded, they've still got Lovren in defence. So, that could be an accident waiting to happen.
Yes.
Chelsea are all set up to play away from home. I think this is all set up for a Chelsea win, mind you. If Liverpool don't defend properly, that is.
Yes, look, there is that, but also, let's not forget that, the Champions League game that Chelsea are having, could be also detrimental, so it's about making sure that, Chelsea have got enough preparation, because Liverpool are playing Sevilla, and by the time that game finishes, Chelsea will have had to play their own game, on the Wednesday night. which means that Liverpool have got a bit more time to recover. So to be brutally honest, that game should have probably be a Super Sunday game as opposed to a Super Saturday, and that could have an impact, So the preparation that Conte requires for that game could be key, So could Liverpool's high tempo football be a difficult, a difficult tool for Chelsea to cope with? And will Conte have enough time to prepare, to prepare his players physically, to prepare his players mentally for the game? We all used to see on Saturday evening, so some will argue that the advantage, if you like, is for Liverpool because they're playing at home and they've got the extra 24 hours rest from the Champions League game. But at the same time, we know that Liverpool have got defensive frailties, and Chelsea are certainly, have got a good midfield and some very good attacking players.
And they got Tony Pulis, your boy, the sack.
Well, it's I was a bit surprised by that, but Frankie B, there's so much money riding on the Premiership that you can't afford to take any chances anymore, and a lot of these clubs want to remain at the top of the game.
Yeah, it's not for long now.
Nowadays, a guy like Tony Pulis, would probably stay, till Christmas at the very least, but now it seems that the clubs don't have the patience anymore.
Yeah, and regardless of results, it is about staying in the Premiership. But at the same point in time, fans want to be entertained, and Tony Pulis is, as good as a manager he is, the games are very, very defensive and very, very tight. And the Albion fans, they wanted a little bit more from West Brom.
Yes,
the game has moved forward from the stone age of defending.
It certainly has, but also, Frankie B, I don't think that we'll see, managers stay at clubs long anymore. It's going to be about quick impact, quick results.
Frank de Boer.
Yeah, and
4 games, yeah.
It's going to be like that, And if the managers cannot perform, within the first year, I mean, there's been a lot of examples. Ronald Koeman this year, being sacked at Everton after having a decent previous season. Nowadays you're only as good as your last game, as they say, and it's going to be difficult for anybody in the Premiership to keep a job.
Anybody apart from one person. Yeah. We all know who that is.
Well, of course, yeah, the dictator of North London, and that would be Arsene Wenger. I mean, he can stay for as long as he wants, but I believe that even when Wenger goes, if he goes, and if they don't resurrect him from the dead once he dies, that would probably be the only manager left in the Premiership to have lasted.
The Arsenal board of directors, they actually might make a clone of Wenger when he retires, so just to frustrate DT and troops.
They probably will, they probably will, but the concerning thing, with West Brom, sacking Pulis, is that the rest of the Premiership, the lower teams, if I can use that term, the Crystal Palaces with Hodgson, his days could be numbered if he doesn't change the fortunes of the club around very quickly. You could have Crystal Palace changing manager twice in 1 year, also David Moyes start at West Ham isn't particularly a good one, he's blaming the players already, first game in charge, so it's going to be a very interesting season where we're going to see a lot of managers changing camps, and changing teams, and all because the Premiership and the money involved, as I said before, is just astronomical, that you cannot afford to come out of it. People want to remain in the league because it's a very profitable league. Yeah. The fans, as you said, are more demanding now, they want more from the players, more from the teams, and when the people speak, you have to get to their needs, of course, unless you're an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, or West Ham. The fans are absolutely livid with the appointment of David Moyes.
I was very surprised by that. I did not think that was the appointment that they would go for. I expect them to be more bold. I expect them to go for Carlo Ancelotti, somebody like that. But it was quite surprising that they went for David Moyes. They're probably looking for safety first, and then maybe appointing a much more a manager with better pedigree afterwards.
Yeah. But what is it? They're probably saying, look, this season could potentially be a write-off. We probably won't get relegated with Moyes. We'll just get enough points to stay up. He's on a 6-month contract. and then from after that they can go for, you know, a more prime target.
Well, that seems to be the case, you know. I mean, West Ham have got a very big stadium. You know, they've also got a very large fan base, you know, a very loyal fan base, and I think it's time for them to start, you know, cementing themselves as a top 10 club, you know, and the only way to do that is to attract the level of talent, you know, both on the managerial level and on a player level. But, you know, since Dimitri Payet left, you know, they've not been able to recapture that charm, you know, that they once had. Yeah. You know, it's such a shame because he was a very good player for West Ham.
Magnificent, he was. But we move on now to Burnley versus Arsenal. Now, the two teams are joint on the same amount of points. Arsenal just with a better goal difference. Pascal, even though Arsenal have just beaten Spurs, Burnley are a very, very tough team to beat. They've only conceded 9 goals, you know, so far. And Arsenal away from home, their form is not good at all. So this could be usual Arsenal, you know, win a big game and then next game go and disappoint.
Unfortunately, you're absolutely correct. It could be the type of game that Arsenal could lose. And, you know, it's not as easy as it looks. And as you said before, Burnley are very, very well organized team, you know. They, if I'm not mistaken, they beat Manchester United this year, you know. Sorry, it wasn't Manchester United, they beat Chelsea, you know. And, so it's certainly a team that we need to watch out for. The only way that Arsenal can get a result is if they apply the same level of intensity, the same level of passion that they showed against Tottenham. And this is really what the fans are asking from the team, is please give us these performances on a weekly basis and we will support you. You know, there are times where Arsenal have played, you know, as if they already won the game just by turning up. And that's when you've seen Arsenal either draw a game or lose a game because of lack of concentration.
And you know what? A lot of people haven't pointed out that I thought he was excellent. You know, the return of Mustafi last week can really help Arsenal. You know, he was throwing himself into the challenges. He kept Harry Kane quiet. He chipped in with an offside goal. No, onside goal.
Well, yeah. They said it was marginally offside, but you know, to me, it was a very good goal. Very good goal.
Yeah. So Arsenal got the you know, the usual back three settled now. You know, you got the AOL firing. Hopefully we can kick on. Well,
you know, Arsenal have won the last 11 games, you know, so started the last 11 home games. You know, their away form has been as good, so that loss to Manchester City, you know, is pretty much the most recent away loss. My concern is, can Arsenal go away to Burnley, and can they somehow turn around this voodoo that's hanging over their face, that's hanging over the team, as to their away form, you know. And that's what, you know, Arsene Wenger needs to address. You know, what can he select the right team to play away from home to get the result? Because at home he seems to be doing that very well. He seems to know the players and the selections. 11, superb. The record at home for Arsenal is superb. The concern is, why does he not find the winning formula away from home? You know, and
you know why that is, Pascal?
No, I don't know why. Tell me.
You got players like Ozil who don't track back away from home, and away from home you can't have any passengers. You know, everybody's got to be chipping in. They've got to be grafting. They've got to be defending.
Of course,
you know, and that's how you pick up the points on the road.
I think that's a very valid observation for KB. Then that means that he needs to select the players that are willing to do that. And does it mean that you play Aaron Ramsey away from home and play Ozil back at home? I'm not sure.
You know, a lot of people, you know, say AOL this, AOL that. I actually would play Giroud against Burnley. You know, the reason why is we need to break Burnley down, and they're going to put a lot of men behind the ball. So there's no point playing on the floor. I think we might have to go, you know, aerially.
So maybe play Olivier?
Olivier. And maybe, you know, you can mix and match. You know, what you can do is you can drop Ramsey, you can play Xhaka midfield with maybe a Coquelin, Ozil in behind, and you can play, I don't know, you could play Olivier Giroud up front, With Sanchez, I mean, you can change things around. You know, you can change things, and that's the thing about Arsene Wenger. Each game is different, and with different games, you need a different tactical approach. Yeah, Burnley can defend, and they can defend very well. So Arsenal are very behind Man City, so we need to just go for the game. We need to go for it.
They certainly have to get some momentum from that win against Tottenham. It was a crucial win, and and it could be a defining moment for the season at Arsenal. I think that Manchester City will eventually burn out because they are playing very high tempo football, and whilst they are very successful, we know that it's a very long season. And 11 or 12 points. I remember where Arsenal were 12 points this time. In 2002. Or I think, or maybe 2003, this 2002-2003 season, and Manchester United came along and won the league. So, it's not over yet. It's certainly not over yet, and it's an opportunity for Arsenal to use that win against Tottenham and to move on and to get some points. But you're absolutely correct. The away games, the games against the Burnleys, the games against the Watford FCs, the games against the Stokes, these are the games that Arsenal should be developing a different style of football. I mean, I don't care even if Wenger has to play, 1-0 boring football just to secure the win, as long as we get the results. And at home, we can play more expensive, we can play more attractive football. The fans are not looking for consistent performances where Arsenal win and Arsenal lose. They're looking for victories, and they're looking for meaningful victories that can help us cement our position as a top 4 club and possibly trouble the top 2 and the top 3. And Wenger certainly needs to address that. And if Ozil is not the type of player to fight back, please
put a shift in.
Aaron Ramsey. But most importantly, Xhaka. Xhaka was very lucky last week because in any other game he could have been sent off. Because
he's not a defensive midfielder.
He's not a defensive midfielder. His mind is not defensively minded. So Wenger needs to use him with Hamzah, perhaps. In the away games where the two of them can actually be, when Hamzah can tackle, he can defend, and he also has a knack of going forward. And if I were Wenger, I would probably address that and allow Hamzah to play the away games a lot more.
Yeah, when you're playing teams like Burnley, Ramsey should play, but when we play Chelsea or Man United or Man City, you can't have Ozil and Ramsey. You can't, and Xhaka, you can't have all those players. They're too attack-minded.
Absolutely.
You need to strike the balance. Because Ramsey, you saw in the game against Man City, that De Bruyne goal, De Bruyne was his man to pick up. He left him, De Bruyne shot from, 25 yards.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. Because all he thinks about is going forward, so he's not defensively minded. But with all the win in the world, the defensive cover that we have isn't world-class defensive cover. It's good cover, but not world-class. We've got Francisco Coquelin and Mohamed El Neni. They're both good players, good squad players, but they're not world-class. And sometimes you need to have that world-class defensive cover, even at the midfield level, to be able to anticipate the things that Kevin De Bruyne can do, because Kevin De Bruyne is an exceptional player. And if you miss 1 nanosecond of your positioning, he's going to take advantage of that. And to win the league, I'm afraid we need to have good world-class strikers, which we have, but we certainly don't have the midfield cover that is of a world-class nature, and except for Ozil, of course. But defensively, we need a Gattuso, for instance, or somebody like that, a
Verratti type of player.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be fantastic for Arsenal. The players are there, but the board don't want to sign that check.
We could talk about Arsenal all night. Now, let's predict another game. So you're going for Burnley versus Arsenal. What's your prediction?
Do you know what? I believe that it will be a 1-1 draw.
1-1. I will go for. I'm gonna have a bit of faith for once, in Arsenal. I'm gonna go for a 1-0 victory, and I think Giroud is gonna come off the bench and get the goal for Arsenal. Yeah, Arsenal probably win this game, and then they'll lose the next one, and the next one's against Man United.
That will be a very good game. That'll be a very good game.
Speaking of Man United, they're at home to Brighton. just quick prediction, Pascal. Man United chasing Man City. They're quite a few points behind, 8 points behind Man City. What are your predictions for this game? Surely this is an easy Man United victory.
I mean, look, we've got the retour of Paul Pogba, of Ibrahimovic. They've got shooters in Manchester, Lukaku. It's going to be, a selection nightmare for Jose Mourinho, which I think that a lot of people don't think about, but it could become the problem for Manchester United itself, because when you have all your players firing in those cylinders, who do you select for the team? Who do you say you start in the game?
Zlatan's back as well.
And with a guy like Zlatan, like Ibrahimovic, who believes that he's a lion, who's not a human being, how do you say to him, look, Zlatan, you're not starting this game? After knowing that you are completely fit, you worked very hard to come back, it becomes very difficult. And Mourinho's going to have to make sure that the selection process at Manchester United doesn't inhibit the skills and the passion of the players, because sometimes the choice of team selection can be detrimental if people are sulking, if players who want to start, who be playing well, deserve the start. Nobody wants to be on the bench, irrespective of whether you come on in the second half. You want to be at the start of the music, when the confetti are coming down. You want to be there. You want to shake the hands of the players. You don't want to be on the bench like everybody else. So I think that it's going to be an interesting game for Manchester United. I believe they will win the game. Don't get me wrong. I think that they will win the game quite comfortably, and I think I expect at least more than 3 goals to be scored, because Pogba is worth his weight in gold. Pogba will not play the full game because Mourinho is protecting him, as you saw against Newcastle. He didn't play him on for the whole time. He wanted to make sure that he could keep him fresh, because they're going to need all of the players to catch Manchester City. It's going to be an important season for Jose Mourinho, because he needs to win that title. To prove himself, he needs to win it. He spent a lot of money, and he wants to win that title. And I believe that a 3-0 victory to Manchester United will take place this weekend.
And I'll agree with you, Man United are going to win. I'll go for 4-0 victory to Man United. They like to score 4 goals. They've got solutions now, more solutions. They've got Martial, they've got Zlatan, they've got Lukaku, got Mkhitaryan, Rashford. Mate, it's hectic out here. So it's going to be easy work for Man United. But the question is, have City got too big of a lead to catch? But we will see how the Premiership unfolds. But that's our time. I'd like to thank Pascal. I'd like to thank Benji. Join us again next week for another Pep Talk UK podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave your comment in the box below.